So squid, cuttlefish and octopus are cephalopods. And cephalopods come from the family of mollusks. So in Northern Europe, we're used to mussels that have the two shells on the outside and then the soft center. But in the case of cephalopods, it's the flip side of that, in that they have a soft exterior and then they have a cartilaginous bone in the center when we talk about squid. Octopus is a different beast. It's all soft and it doesn't have a cartilaginous bone. So I'm going to start and talk about the octopus. And octopus, it has 8 arms, and that's why it's called an octopus, because it has 8, oct meaning 8. And it is probably the largest of the cephalopods. So it has a body, which is called the mantle, and then it has 2 eyes here. And then to clean that or to work with that, you turn out the mantle. And in this case, the fishermen really have it more or less cleaned, in that sometimes you'll see, I suppose, kind of a paler yellow colour, which is part of its brain and other elements. But this is actually nice and clean. So you just pull all that apart. And if there's any kind of bits here, we cut all that away. And the thing about the, so there's another little piece that I'm talking about. So you just pull all that off.
So I'll just help while Anne's showing you the beak.
So the one thing that has to come out is the beak. And they all have different beaks. A bit like ourselves, we're all slightly different.
So because their prey is actually shellfish, and when they catch the shellfish, they inject venom into it. So their beak is actually very small and sharp, so that it can get through the hard shellfish. Whereas you'll see in a minute when I start on the squid, their beak is actually longer and not as sharp, because their prey is soft fish. And the other, Anne mentioned there, the arms and the tentacles. Some of them have suckers all the way up the arms, like the octopus. But with the squid, we see that there's 8 arms and 2 tentacles. And the tentacles then on the squid are different, and they have suckers along the end of it. So it's, while they're of the same family, no more than the rest of us, they're all different. And there's over 300 species of squid, so there's a massive range of them. From very small baby squid till squid that's as long as a double-decker bus. And will I lift you back?
Yeah, so to cook the octopus is very different to the squid. It needs to cook for quite a long time. And we, because of limited space, we have our octopus cooked in advance. So it's cooked in a lovely cooking liquid. There's a bottle of white wine in it. There's orange, there's lemon, there's bay leaf and peppercorns. So you bring all that liquid to the boil, and then you just pop in the octopus. And to check if it's cooked, you just get a sharp knife, and the knife should just cut through it like butter. And then if you want, we're serving this cold, and when this cooks, it becomes a lovely dark purple colour. So to retain that colour when it comes out of the pot, you need to pop it into ice cold water, and then that just kind of keeps the colour. For this one, and the display later on, what I did was just had small little loaf tin, and then I put a small bit of oil in the loaf tin, and I popped in my cling film. And the oil acts almost like a glue, and it keeps it nice and secure. And then what I did was, when the squid was cooked, I literally just cut off the arms. And you'll see that the arm is thick at one end and kind of narrow at the other. So what we did was we put them kind of head to toe, like that, when they're cooked and they're still warm. And you press it into the mould, and then fold over the cling film and put a weight on it. Now, if you didn't have those small tins, you can put it in a loaf tin, and this one here then is exactly the same, except on a bigger scale. So you can probably see that one better, in that you can see how the heads and the tails. And it's actually a very glutinous fish, so it's actually quite sticky when you work with it, and then it sets into a lovely shape. Or alternatively, you can roll it Alternatively, you can roll it in cling film if you didn't have the loaf tin. And then put it into the freezer, and when it's frozen, you need to cut it. And when you cut it, and if you cut it nice and thin, put it straight onto the plate from frozen, and that's your carpaccio then of octopus. So to finish that off, so the lemon gel is in the recipe, and in that lemon gel I have lemon juice, I have water, sugar, and then the secret ingredient there is saffron. And the saffron adds a lovely kind of hay, smoky flavour to the gel, but it also gives you a really intense yellow colour, whereas ordinary lemon juice is quite pale. So I get a really nice dark yellow when I pop in the saffron. So you put the water, the lemon juice, the saffron and the sugar in a pot, you bring it to the boil and leave it there, take it off the heat, leave it for 20 minutes so that this infuses into the flavour. And then I set it with agar-agar. And agar-agar is like the vegetarian version of gelatine. You just pop it in and you reboil it, and then you put it on ice, and you needn't get worried. It'll get really, really solid, like a solid gel. And what I do then is I have extra lemon juice, and I put it in the food processor with the lemon juice, and then I get this lovely kind of pliable gel. And then to serve that, I just put a tiny little dots of the yellow, and you'll see it in a minute, but that dark yellow against the octopus is really, really nice. And then I have a citrus salad to go with that. There's oranges and lime, or orange and lime, and I'm going to pop that into the center of it. So the lemon gel is on, and like that, like have it in a little bottle, and it's very easy to prepare. And then with that, I have orange segments, so I have just literally topped and tailed the orange, and taken away all the white membrane. And with cooking, it's a bit like flower decoration. Odd numbers are better, so ones or threes or fives. So I have 5 pieces of orange, and then I'm going to put in 3 little pieces of lime because it's a bit sharper in flavour. And I'm also going to pop in a pickled dilsk. And pickled dilsk, if I want a bigger piece and I can display it very differently, I can take my terrine mould out, and then you have all that nice curly colour, and put that at an angle on the plate. And some people then might like to see the all the suckers. So what I did was I got radish, and I cut it really, really thinly, and I just pop in the radishes and into it, just to kind of bring out that pinky colour. I put a small bit of lime juice that I had already from my carpaccio, and I pop it on there, and it just gives kind of a scaly effect. So rather than having it around the plate, we're going to put it perpendicular and have a slightly bigger one, and then a smaller one again, and a smaller one, and then keep it in the numbers. So that's 4 and 5. And I have a little cutter, and I'm going to pop the cutter on here. And we're big into pickling because it's a fashion. Food is a bit like fashion. So I have cucumber. I just peel the cucumber, and then with the vegetable peeler, I cut long slivers like spaghetti. And the same pickle again that I had on the dilsk, but this time I'm putting it in the mould. And the mould just gives it a bit of height, and it'll give it shape. And press it down there. And all those lovely kind of citrusy cucumber flavours work really well together. And then I'm going to put a small little bit of my pickled dilsk on top of that. And the mould kind of holds it in place. And then I pull that off. And the crisp is kind of make that more, I suppose, restaurant-y, we have made a squid batter. And the squid batter is made from squid ink. And you'll see the squid ink in a couple of minutes when Sadie talks about the squid. But basically, we buy that pasteurized, so it's safe, and we keep it chilled. And you put 2 sachets of that into a little bowl, and then you pop in some oil with that, blend it, and then add in your flour like you're making an ordinary batter, and then you top it up with water. And the pan needs to be really, really hot. I lost the spray thing. So you put a tiny little spray on the pan, and the pan needs to be really, really hot. And then it's really important that you shake that, because it does kind of separate out. And you pop it on the hot pan, and then, like a pancake, you spread it around, and just leave it to bake, or to fry. And what will happen over time then is that it'll dry out, and then you get this lovely curl effect. So it looks very restaurant-y, and basically it's the same as making a pancake. And just take a small bit of that and pop it on here, and you've kind of dressed it up, and it's more restaurant style cooking. And I won't put the salad leaves on because they're a bit wilted, but if I had nice salad leaves, I could put it at the back of that. And then again, to finish off, go with your rapeseed oil around the plate, or you could have vinaigrette, but I think a little bit of oil is nice with it. And that's your terrine. So you cook it the same way. It's what you do with it and what you press it into is what makes the difference.